Hi everyone, good evening. Today we are very fortunate since September is always the fathering month for Bapa Sepanjang Hayat. We are thankful for the willingness of some parties to come on board to share the excitement or to celebrate the fathering journeys for all fathers, how small it is. Today I'm not alone. With the ladies, the beautiful, awesome ladies from the Young Women in Leadership Dialogue. The YWILD. They like to call themselves YWILD. Well, I don't know why. Why wild? But okay, without further ado, I would like to take this opportunity to introduce to them. Did I mention my name? No, not yet. Okay, my name is Mustaffa bin Osman from PSH. Okay, Ken, I would like to introduce the ladies from YWILD.
Thank you, Mustaffa. Hi, I'm Erliana Zaid, and I'm a co-founder at YWILD. YWILD is the Young Women in Leadership Dialogue, and it's actually a platform for women to make a positive impact in the world, to lead change within themselves and within the communities. So YWILD was founded in 2015, and it was led by volunteers under Mendaki Club, and we have since gone independent.
Mendaki Club.
Yes. So YWILD is actually a place for women to be inspired by the lived experiences of very strong female role models. And we felt that it is one of the ways for people to get inspired by that is through stories. And that's why we have events around stories shared by the women who are very, very strong as well, who achieved various success in their lives. And some of the ways that we share those stories are through events, through panel discussions like this, videos, social, and also through books. So actually in March this year, in celebration of the International Women's Day, as well as in line with MSF's movement to celebrate SG Women this year, we actually launched a book called Unprecedented, which is unprecedented to the beat of our own drum. And this book is very powerful, I feel, because it actually celebrates 20 Malay Muslim young women and their stories of how they achieve success in their lives and how they showcase compassion, resilience, grit, commitment to achieve all the successes. Actually, the proceeds of this book went to Casa Rauda, which is a safe haven for women and children who experienced domestic violence. And further proceeds actually of this book will go on to empower other women and children as well.
Okay.
So today I'm here with other lovely women, Zulaha as well as Atika, who have been impacted by YWILD in many different ways, to talk about our fathers and the roles that he plays in our lives.
Yeah, okay. But why YWILD, does it cater solely to Malay Muslim?
No. The first book does cover Malay Muslim women, but we hope that this book it's stories, right? And is relevant anyway for all women, all young girls, whether you're Malay or not Malay, it doesn't matter, because these are stories of success and how people achieve that.
All right. Eliana, you mentioned that YWILD was actually run by volunteers.
Yes.
So I presume you're also volunteers. So more about yourself, maybe?
Yes. So I am very passionate about empowering women and girls. I do want to share how they can basically get the knowledge and skills to inspire others. And that was why my co-founder and I, we started YWILD. We wanted to make sure that there's a platform that's safe. And because we have so much compassion for it, right? We have so much passion for this. That's why we're willing to spend our time and our effort in creating YWILD. I mentioned we've just gone independent last, so that's separate. But yeah, it was a journey for sure. And actually, the book was written by volunteer writers.
Great.
Photos taken by a pro photographer, but actually everything else was written by writers, by volunteers, edited by volunteers as well. So it is really a book of love.
I see.
Yeah.
So the panelists is also some of the writers inside?
Zulaikha is actually part of the team, of the YWILD team, the organizing team that helped put all of this together, which is a whole like two-year affair trying to put this together. Yeah.
Okay.
And of course,
I think it takes me 10 years maybe to write such a stories.
We have a lot of writers, so it helps spread out the
that's
work.
awesome. That's awesome. All right.
Yeah. All right.
Maybe you would like to introduce the rest of the panelists?
Yes, so next up is Zulaikha. Maybe she can introduce herself
Yes,
as well.
of course. Welcome.
Okay, so yeah, my name is Zulaikha. By day, I'm actually a social work associate working in a family service center. I've been heavily involved in the social work sector as well as the other Malay Muslim organizations. I think as a whole, I'm just very compassionate about the society as a whole, not necessarily just the Malay Muslim community. Apart from my work as a social work associate, I actually run a ground-up initiative called Project Hills.
Okay.
So Project Hills actually work closely with rental estates residents, and we hope to actually be the bridge of access to all these residents, such as providing them access to government bodies as well as social service agencies. And we were actually established early last year. This comes in timely with the pandemic outbreak. So we thought that being in the community itself and how my siblings and I are also residents in the rental estate is definitely more assuring to these residents. And also, we are also mindful of not wanting to actually create unnecessary clusters and transmission of the virus. So which is why we thought, why not do something within the community itself? Yeah.
So why YWILD?
Why YWILD? Actually, YWILD is actually a whole new experience for myself. I wanted to learn a lot, especially from a lady like Eliana, as well as a few others of whom who are not here today. They have definitely been a great mentor for me, and I've never actually understood the importance and the significance of women in leadership until I've met so many amazing women through this dialogue or through the engagement that I have, or perhaps through the interactions that I have with all these young women. And I feel that all these stories actually go unheard. And not many people are actually aware of the contribution that the ladies in our community have made. And most of them have actually significantly impacted the community one way or another. And I thought that being part of the team would actually bring up more courage out of these women as well as others to actually hear out what are some of the things that they have done.
Thank you so much, Zulaikha. Then the next, the last, the third panelist who has been smiling, never stop smiling.
Yeah, because I really like hearing all the stories.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Atika Malina. I am the eldest daughter. I have two younger brothers. And I am now working as a diversity, equity, and inclusion program manager in Google. Previously, I was heavily involved in social media and a lot of writing and things like that. So previously, I had a personal brand called The Tudong Traveler, where I would solo travel and backpack and write a lot about that. So I also associate myself as a freelance volunteer. So I don't associate with only one particular organization.
Oh, really?
So I would try and help and volunteer as many organizations as possible as I can with whatever capacity that I have.
All right. Today we are here to share about fathers. The thing that we would like to touch, or the topic that we would like to engage is dads. My first love, not mine, daughter's first love, my hero. All right. Okay, taking to that topic, I would like to ask all of you, if you can find one word to describe your father, just one word, all right, to describe your father. But before that, I will bring you back to when you were younger. One word that can describe your father. What will be that word? Okay? Why you choose that word? Okay? Since I already started early, then we might start with
I knew that was coming because you kept looking at me. So I thought long and hard when I saw this question. I think the one word that I would say it's a Malay word.
So we can proceed, Malay.
Mix lah kan. So because I felt this word was more all encompassing. The word that I chose for my father was penghulu.
Penghulu.
It's a noun, so it's like a village head chief.
Head chief, right?
Head chief. Yeah, village head chief.
Village.
One, because he is so sociable and he's known by everybody. He's known by a lot of people.
Sociable equal popular.
I mean, you can ask my mom. Yes.
Probably your mom will be.
Yeah.
Right.
So my dad is very personable, very sociable. He also has spent the last 20 years being a real estate agent. So a lot of people know him. Whenever we go out, somebody will be like, "Hey, hi Zaini," So from a very young age, I knew my dad had like a wide network. And also people always like go to him for either help or, now at my age and his age, he's always being asked to be the wakil for like tunang or nikah, everything. He's always the one who will be the front facing person. But he's also very, wise, and he takes a lot of risks. He enjoys taking risks. So I think a lot of
risk taker.
Yeah, he's
Right.
a huge risk taker. So I get that a bit from him. Very street smart. So I also got my street smart from him. I call him that as well because, but it also means that he's a natural born leader. I would say he's never in any real leadership positions, but he's very charismatic and has that leader. So I think that's something I would really call him.
He's known as a charismatic leader. He's very popular. He's well known.
Yeah.
Is that a pressure for you as a daughter?
I mean, a bit.
A bit.
But I'm also his only daughter, right? So still the precious one.
So they call it, is it manja?
Yeah. I can get away with a lot of things.
Oh.
But yeah, I mean, pressure is one thing, but it's also very, like, I guess I have a role model in that way. So sometimes people say I talk very loud and laugh very loud like my dad. Because my dad is very loud. I guess it also, even though I associate myself as an introvert, like it's very easy for me to build rapport like with people. I think that's something that I also get. But I think pressure, sometimes people know, this anak Zaini, so I cannot run away. So that's one thing.
Yeah, being loud, that nobody tell you, hey, your daughter should not be loud.
Yeah.
Should not be loud.
That's why that is so loud. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much. How about Atika? Zulaika? One word.
I would think for me personally would be bold.
Bold?
Yeah, I see myself, my father, as someone who is very bold because
in Malay, berani.
Berani. Brave, yes.
Brave.
Yeah. I think pasal like growing up, I see my dad as someone who is willing to do anything without having to fear consequences. Though sometimes that it can be quite worrying, but I inherited quite a fair bit of that boldness from him. So even because my dad is not someone who's actually very well educated, he actually didn't even complete his PSLE. So even though if he's not very familiar with certain words, especially in English, because he actually grew up in a Malay school, and so he conversed a lot in Malay language. So even when I think as time changed, all of us had to adopt English language. And for someone who were not very highly educated and to actually be brave enough to actually pronounce word even if it's wrong. And I think that is something very admirable because like he wasn't even afraid of people laughing at him. To him, it was just more of like, oh, okay lo, salah, tak apa. Yeah. Okay. So it was, so this is something that...
Like they say, lantak lah guna
yeah. Asalkan like it's more of like asalkan aku belajar, and so to him it's all about trying, and I think this comes a lot from his sense of being brave, because if he's not brave enough to actually take the first step, then he wouldn't even be able to know. And he often tells me that kalau tak cuba tak tahu.
Correct.
Yeah, so he always tells me that tak apalah, what's worse can happen, just do it. Yeah.
You did mention consequences. He doesn't mind it.
Yeah.
Any examples that you can share with us? Any examples that he do,
Uh,
he like layman say dia lagau, you know, that dia terus saja.
yeah, okay. So the consequences like that we usually face, of course, because sometimes this boldness can appear to be confrontational. So
Okay.
some people might misinterpret it and then unnecessarily cause some form of conflict lah. So intent will misinterpret and all that. So I think because he's not someone who also suka berbunga-bunga, so he just go very straight to the point and say like kenapa macam ini. Yeah. So this is something that often comes back lah to the family. Yeah.
Have you ever asked him why he did that? Why he brave enough to face everything and still do it? Have you actually asked him or find out from him?
I did. He did share with me because he is fully aware yang dia tak berpelajaran tinggi and he know that to learn is to humble himself down and to risk himself lah. So I think which is why he put himself in that position just so that he could acquire knowledge and skills from the people around him.
All right. Great. Aliana has been wanting, to speak out, When is my turn? Okay, Aliana, you have your choice. Your chance.
I took a while to think about this word.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
but actually,
I think we should give you the question 1 week.
All
right.
No, but actually, one of the things that I think came to mind quite immediately. I had to do a little bit of research, but what came to mind actually was very strong. I felt was the word guardian. I feel like my dad is like a guardian. Guardian, yeah. And guardians are dependable, they're loyal, they're dutiful. And as I was reading all of this is exactly describes my father. Very, very dependable. He is the eldest son in a family of 8 children, so 7 other siblings. Right. And I know for a fact that all his siblings depend on him for several different things. I mean, as children also we depend on our fathers, right? Or on my father at least. And he's always there. Actually, even now, it's like recently, I was driving and then my car broke down. Like tire punctured, and then I'm just like, what is this? What is happening? I had my husband with me, but we both were like staring at each other, like, I'm going to call my dad. He won't know what to do. And he did, right? So he told us exactly, okay, the steps that we should do, who to call. And then in 10 minutes, definitely under 10 minutes, he drove to where we were. He asked, where you now? Go to the side of the road. Okay, make sure your engine is off. Give us all the steps. And then finally, okay, I'll see you there. And he's there. And I think that's him. It's, every time I'm in trouble or, we need help, the family needs help, we call him and we ask for his help, and he's always there, no questions asked.
When we talk about the involvement of your dad, do you face any barriers, any kind of barriers that maybe prohibit yourself to understand him? Or the question go back, do you understand who is your father?
I understand him more now when I'm older.
Okay, we put it. I go stand.
Yeah.
Backtrack.
Yes.
When you were younger.
When I was younger, I think it was a bit different and difficult. But not for anything.
Difficult in what ways?
Different from how it is right now, I feel. Because I was the youngest of 2 siblings who are much, much older than I am.
Oh, you are not the eldest.
I'm not. I'm much younger. My brother's 12 years older. My sister's 7 years older. So I'm the baby of the family. I think I might be more close to my cousins because, I understand them better. Like at home as well, I'm closer to, I guess, my sister or my mother. Because, they're just more natural, I think, for me, I guess, to speak to my sister and my mother. But it doesn't mean that I don't talk to him lah. I mean, as a kid, I think we have very few needs and they're all quite obvious. And I always do remember though that, no matter what I needed, I know that he was always there. It's just that I think connecting on an emotional level when I was younger, say from like secondary school and younger, it was not something that I probably experienced as much. Yeah.
Okay, nice. Zulaika? Do you think you have barriers involved with your father when you were younger? Or is there any barriers that you feel that actually, until now, you can say, I really don't know my father's 100%?
I would say when I was younger, maybe the expressing of the affection.
Okay,
Yeah.
nice.
So
You can elaborate more?
okay, yeah. So I think even till today, telling my dad that I love him or I miss him is a very big word for both parties. And these are something that I realized that I cringe a lot when I want to say.
Okay.
Macam,
Until now.
ya, macam apa?
Geli,
Ya, macam apa ni nak cakap? Or another word is I'm sorry. So I think every year Hari Raya we have this ritual
Okay.
that we have to do it, and for my dad he take it to another extreme lah. It's not just minta maaf, sorry. It's more of apa kau buat. Yeah. So that's the thing that I find very difficult to actually express openly to my dad. And I think not only on festive occasions but also on a day-to-day basis. Say if I do something wrong that offend my dad emotions and all that. I mean, I can see through his non-verbal cues lah. Like mungkin just mau senyap, makan, and then lepas tu terus buat hal masing-masing. But yeah, I cannot seem to. This is the barrier lah. Not being able to express openly, emotionally. Yeah, and I think it's very ironic because I work a lot with emotions in my day-to-day work.
Yeah, you are not doing a transference.
Yes.
Very, very interesting to know that. But given the thoughts, the barriers, what do you think can be done to break that barriers?
Wow. I mean, I think both, I don't know. I also I wouldn't say I struggle with my dad's emotions. Because I mean, I think my dad is charismatic, but not very emotional.
Do you know when he feels sad?
I mean, now that as I'm older, I'm a bit more sensitive towards all these cues and
When
nuances.
we were younger?
I think when I was younger, because I'm the only daughter, right? And so my dad, it's always kind of like you said, like just now, the hero, right? So I guess
Correct.
there's also the hero complex of seeing like the father as impenetrable, not impenetrable, but just like
Vulnerable.
it cannot be vulnerable. Like they're very like
They have a real shield.
yeah, but it's like they can so I think I always kind of thought that my dad was the hero and cannot feel emotion. I mean, like they were always the ones like, kind of, and he's also such a big character, right? So I would always think that he always has it together. So I think it was only when I grew a bit older that I realized that, and that was actually one of the things that I wanted to say is like, I don't think I know enough of my dad's, even my parents in general, right? Like their failures or their own emotional world. Because I'm sure they have lots of things going on. We just don't know. And I think because of that, I guess we also don't share much about our kind of failures or emotional world.
All right.
And I think that's a bit of a barrier.
That leads me to the questions of when I understand that at the age of 19, he allows you to do backpacking, things like that. Do you think he say yes willingly?
Sorry. I wouldn't say he was willing. I think I often put them in situations where they don't have a choice. Or like I do first, then I tell them. I'm sure she's smiling right now. So I mean,
it reminds me of my daughter.
So I think, okay, one of the things I also have to say earlier when I said my dad is penghulu, he's also very headstrong, right? He's very opinionated, he's very headstrong, and guess who followed that? I'm very opinionated, I'm very headstrong as well. And I think like because I kind of just told them like, this is what I want, let's go and do this. It wasn't like, can I do this? What do you think? Which obviously put them in a lot of position. And I think my dad and my mom didn't want to kind of disappoint me. So they tried their best to really do that. I wouldn't say it was willing, like as willing as possible, but my dad has this mantra that he's passed on to all of us. I wouldn't call it a mantra, but a life philosophy, which is Allah ada, Allah jaga.
Oh, okay.
So he has a very, very, very strong faith in that, right? So he always kind of, whenever I go on my trips or when I went overseas to study, like that is the one thing that he always kind of like implant in me, like, you know, like he's done whatever he could to like raise me well and give me whatever I needed, like go out into the world, Allah will take care of you. And I guess I just keep holding that. And because that is what I hold, like I hold myself to a certain integrity when I go overseas or I do stuff. Like I know, like Allah ada, right? Like literally, like Allah will see whatever I'm doing. And I also know, like, you know, like as a daughter in Islam, like I'm, you know, he's still my wali, you know, like anything, like he will still carry a lot of the responsibility for me. So I also have to carry myself well.
So he just wanting the day that, you know, he will give away my daughter
Yeah.
to someone else.
Yes, you say the exact same words from his mouth.
I'm a father.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Eliana, a lot of people say this. Fathers are very quiet. They seldom talk a lot at home. Only the necessary. Whereas I think outside they are more. Do you think is it happening to you, or do you think it's true that assumptions that father do not like to speak a lot at home?
I think this is okay.
Or you need to know your mom on this.
Well, yes and no lah. I think my dad, when he gets passionate about something, I love the stories that he tells. Like he has lots of life stories that when he was younger, he likes to tell us. As well as like he just really likes to see the development of Singapore. And so sometimes like when we drive somewhere, you know, he'll tell us, oh, do you know this place used to be a sea or whatever? Or, this place was where I was, like, you know, I walked from here to go to school. And I love stories like that. And I think looking back now, that's how he teaches me sort of life lessons lah. So he doesn't say that, oh, you know, he probably doesn't say things like, oh, you know, you need to be dependable or whatever, but he tells me stories that I will remember. And so maybe I wouldn't go to him, say if I'm feeling really, really sad, I'll probably go to my mom first, and he knows this. But then he will know about
mom
it.
First?
I'm just much closer to my mom.
Sure.
But he won't, and I know that it gets passed on to my dad, but then later he will talk to me about it, and he will, you know, try and support me in different ways. Yeah. And I think for him, I guess his love language, right? The way he displays his love is through acts of service.
Okay.
Right? So it's not necessarily by words.
At least I feel good about myself.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be words. And I understand that, you know, and I think it's good that actually I understand that that's how he displays his love. And I get that. So it doesn't matter that words. And I can feel that, yeah. It doesn't matter that, you know, he's quiet or at certain things, because he's not quiet sometimes when he talks about, you know, stories. But, you know, I guess I'm just a little bit more, I can just feel, I guess, I understand what he is now that I'm much older. And I understand him better lah.
You are the youngest.
I am the youngest, yes.
You are the youngest. Okay. Do you know, only she's married, right? Both of you
Yeah.
single?
Yes.
Yeah.
The day she hand over you to your husband, do you know how it feels?
I don't think I will ever know how my dad felt. I don't think I will.
All right.
Yeah.
Because that we will explore more about actually what's his deep inside, despite the picture that he want to show you people. I'm okay.
Oh, my dad would definitely cry. He already say, he's like, I'm gonna cry when you get back.
Yeah, we as a man, we seldom shows our emotions, especially towards children, because our children, we would love our children to grow up, right? To grow up peacefully, as a to become like what other people say, to become jadi orang. You know, become a sensible person with faith, with all the right thing. So whatever challenges that comes to us, usually we tend to keep it ourselves. But believe me, ladies, believe me, that deep in our heart, also we relish the moment for our daughter, for our children to come and hug us, to say I love you, to say thank you. Really, we need that also. Doesn't mean we put up a very strong front. Doesn't mean our feelings are not there. Okay, we will take a break for this for a while. We will continue after the break. Thank you. Okay, welcome back, everybody. I hope you still with us. Okay, we continue with our discussion. Now, Zulaika, I suppose they should put name tag. All right, Zulaika.
Yeah.
You talk about sacrifices. You talk about hero. Okay, what makes your father? What kind of sacrifices that makes you think he's your great hero?
I would think for my father particularly, because he often sees himself as someone who has insufficient skills and knowledge.
Okay.
So he sacrificed a lot of his effort, like banyak buat kerja keras lah. Like basically through his work, making sure that we have enough, and also sacrificing a lot of his rest time. So when I was younger, I actually struggled a lot academically. And I saw how my father actually sacrificed his rest time after his working hours just to actually teach me and to also curate some of the academic strategies according to my needs. And
Okay.
yeah.
What your needs?
Okay, so for me, I was actually when I was younger, I was actually diagnosed with dyslexia dengan dyscalculia.
Okay.
Yeah, so I struggled a lot with numbers as well as alphabet. So at that point of time, these learning disability were relatively quite new. So everyone was still trying to get hold of what or how to actually work with students who have similar struggles like myself. So of course, my dad also wanted to also be part of this whole journey with me. And he actually picked up some of these coping, I would say coping modalities lah, to actually make me learn and not get drift away just because I wasn't able to grab hold of the concept in school. So he actually macam asked me to actually kutip like saga seeds. It was the saga seed yang merah tu.
Biji
And then
saga lah.
biji saga, and then we were always like, because kebetulan like from our school to walk back home there's one particular tree. So he will ask me to pick. So I have never understood kenapa kena pick this saga seed kan. So when we get home he will make me wash. I said, wash, okay. So after like macam dah makan and all that, and then he'll say, okay, we're gonna learn maths with this. So I was quite skeptical lah nak belajar maths dengan benda ni. So, but then after a while, it triggers my interest lah. Like macam I grew more interested to actually learn. And of course, reading was also something that I wasn't very keen of. He made me learn the news, watch the news dulu. News tak ada subtitle. So it was very hard. Cannot catch anything. It's either you know atau you tak tahu. So my dad macam the translator kat sebelah. Faham tak? Faham tak? Yeah, so he will put it in a more layman term. Then to make it more interesting. So he say, tahu kenapa dia bomb tak? Tahu kenapa macam gini? So he will explain and then I will naturally grow more interested lah. Yeah.
Alright. How many siblings you have?
Including myself, there's 4 of us.
Okay, you are the eldest.
I'm the second, but
Okay.
I'm the oldest daughter.
Okay.
Yeah, so I have an older brother, myself, my sister, and my younger brother. All of us are a year apart.
Alright.
Yeah.
Alright. Despite your disability, your study disability, he move on. He proceed with all the things. Have you have any idea why he don't give up? Did he give up first?
I don't think he actually gave up on me because I think even when my school feels like giving up on me, he was like, no, my child's okay. Like we should try. He was more, I would say he was more optimistic lah. Among all the other family members as well as the school personnel. And I think one of the few reasons why he did not give up because he did one chat with me before. He see himself in me. Yeah.
Okay, what is that he sees?
So, because he too struggles academically in the past, and one of the key reasons why he did not pursue education was also because he could not cope with the academic curriculum. But then was different because during his time, he was actually helping out with his mother. They were selling nasi lemak at Bukit Timah. So I had known nasi lemak session or what. So it was different. So he wanted to make sure that okay, since I was not able to, and if he constantly feels whether is this an inheritance thing, so he feels that he has a part to play as to how I am like as a student. So which is why he actually continued to push me and also look for alternatives lah. To make me learn.
But again, looking at his education level, he's maybe not so high education level. Maybe he wants you to be higher, study higher, further than him. But what do you think what effort do you think that he made to actually equip himself to teach you?
I think being more involved in the parent-teacher meeting.
Oh, PTC.
And, PTC. And then on top of that, he has also make it, because my father used to ride motorbike, so it's more convenient to actually go to my school. So we every end of the day, I have a learning support program. So this learning support program actually provide a platform for students like myself to actually keep up with our academic. So I see him actually communicating with the allied educators, trying to keep up with my progress, and also asking how he himself can also bring these skills and knowledge at home. So he doesn't just rely entirely to the school to educate me. He also make it a point to see how he can follow through all these things at home as well.
Yeah, correct. Because these sessions, not only we want to explore the journey that these ladies had during their growing up, we also want to see, is there anything that fathers can do more to encourage the children?
Actually, we want to talk about changes, right? In what changed? Like, because I think I say, when I was younger, I don't really, maybe like a bit harder to interact with my father. Actually, I think what changed was in university. When my dad actually had a health scare. A health emergency. I was the only one at home. My siblings both work and live overseas. At that point in time, my sister just gave birth, and so my mom went over to help my sister to where she was lah. So it was just my dad and I at home alone for I think two years or something. 2 weeks. And sometime quite at the beginning, I can't remember, 2 or 3 days in with just my dad and I had to bring him to the hospital. I was trying to manage school, university, as well as trying to figure out how to help my dad, right? Because like I said, I grew up knowing that he was like my guardian, right? He's so dependable. I need help. He's always there. And then to have to play that role for my father, and then not have him help him, if that makes sense. Because he's always the one I go to if I need help, this kind of like life help. And then for me to have to do that for him, like, I think that was the first time I saw him vulnerable, and it was just the two of us, at least for a while before my brother flew down immediately lah. But for a few days at least, it was just me and him, and I had to grow up very quickly. I had to really know how to handle, everything in the hospital, trying to understand, his whole health history. From that we understood more about his health and how to help him forward. But that was actually the first time I think I had to play that dependable person, had to see how stressful it was that he had to go through whenever, or like all the worries that he had whenever we go through something similar, maybe. You
understand better.
Yeah, and I think it was actually then I think that I truly understood guess the love and the sacrifice that he as well as my mom, both of my parents, have to sort of make sure that we are safe, So that was actually my key turning point for him, for me to really understand him.
Okay, wonderful.
Yeah.
Atika,
Yes.
when you got your wish to backpack, to do whatever you wish to do, have you thought that the surrounded community is actually blaming your father for allowing you to do all that?
Yeah. So that was an answer to the sacrifice question. Actually, was that my dad sacrificed his kind of comfort and his kind of like well-being. I wouldn't say well-being, but his kind of comfort to allow me to be who I am. So I think that was, he didn't prioritize himself, he prioritized me. And I think one of the biggest things that my dad recognized was the world that we live in is not the same that the world that he grew up in.
Okay.
So like he recognized that, he knew that one of the biggest things that my dad did for me throughout my life was he knew he gave me roots, like very strong roots, very strong values, very strong principles. And he also gave me very strong wings.
Correct.
And so like he knew that if he gave me both and then he didn't let me fly, it'd be such a waste, right?
Okay.
But to let me fly is he had to be in a very great discomfort, right? There's always this whole thing like, what will people say? And I know that was hard for him, more hard for my mother, but definitely hard for him as well. And I think that was, and he had a very group of friends. I think so. He also is very well known, right? He has a big network. So, and I also didn't help by like being so obvious on social media. So a lot more people knew as well. But I know it was a big sacrifice for him because, I'm sure like he would have people who went up to him and say, hey, your daughter's doing this. Oh, you let your daughter do this. Hey, your daughter is not married. Like I said, I'm very stubborn. I'm very strong and opinionated.
I got to get somebody to vouch on that. Your stubbornness.
yeah. I think alhamdulillah, like it's also gotten me to where I am today, and I think through all of that, I'm sure my parents are very proud of me right now. And I wouldn't be where I am for causing all of the grief earlier. But I think like for my dad as well, like he knew that the world was out there. So I said earlier, as a youth, he also traveled the world. And I think as a youth, both my parents also really wanted to see the world. But like the world that they lived in and the world that I lived in was very different. The privileges that I have is very different from the privileges they have, right? Alhamdulillah, it just so happened that I'm a really good student. I got my scholarships. I had like funding and privilege that way. So I could leverage on that. There was no kind of way for me that can hold me back the way that, maybe they were held back. So in some ways, I knew that I kind of lived some of their dreams as well,
Okay.
even though they had to kind of answer a lot of these like questions in terms of.
Thank you so much, Atika. Zulaika, do you think our culture is actually prohibiting the talents of the current woman?
Soalan cepat. That's such a difficult question.
For me, I would go with yes. I still feel there are quite a handful of the people within our community are still quite backwards. I still have friends who belongs to family who believes that once a woman reaches a certain age, she should get married. and you should be filial to your family, be submissive to your husband, but nothing much about what the woman actually wants to do and what exactly she wants to do with the family. Nothing much about all of that. And I'm just glad that my dad did not had all that on me. I mean,
Or not yet? Or not yet? Or no?
I wouldn't say not yet, because like Atika, for me, I don't actually grow in a very conservative family.
All right.
So for me, my dad actually allow us to actually find the religion ourselves. In fact, the whole decision of donning the hijab and all that was also entirely my decision. And he put all his children in a position whereby they are able to actually explore all religion. In fact, I myself grew up in a convent school, so that has also given me more knowledge and skills on how to be also more compassionate individuals, and also learn how I can also be a better Muslim. And in fact, throughout my entire journey as a Muslim, I feel there are a lot of things that I don't pretty much agree with, but unfortunately, we live in a society.
Believe in what? The culture? Or
the culture, of
the
course.
belief,
Yeah, the
alright.
culture.
Hmm.
Yeah, whatever practices that they want to impose. I mean, I'm 27 this year, and people find it problematic.
Same.
So
Used to be. Okay, all right. Ken, thank you so much. Do you think you will adopt a different set of parenting style from your parents? Your own ambition, aspiration. I want my children to be this, to be that, to be this, to be that. I mean, different from your parents?
I think I think I'll take a lot of, actually it's a lot of the good things that they do now already that I'm doing, which is, pure support. They don't impose their vision of what their children should be onto us. I mean, I know that they have their own dreams. They want to make sure they were successful, but they don't define what that is to us. They don't say you must be a certain person. We can learn to explore. The other thing as well is, and the other thing that I take from them strongly is the fact that, they're just very positive in their messaging, most of the things I say, at least sometimes, of course, they will tell me that, you shouldn't do this or whatever. They sit me down and tell me something. But, generally, if I come to them with, say, an idea, or I want to do this, or, I wanted to go on exchange, when both of my siblings are already overseas, it doesn't seem like a very big thing. But, for them, it is like their last baby, where it's like flying away, and now they have an empty home. I know how hard it is for them, and probably when I went overseas for like 6 months. But I tell them what I wanted, and it was never a no, but it's always a, okay, you have to do this. What do you need to do so that you can achieve this, right? What grades do you need to have? How do you need a scholarship? Do you need a loan? What do you need to get so that you can make sure that you're safe?
Yeah, correct. Thank you so much. Very nice to hear that of parents who does not impose their own dreams into their children. So it's very nice. Atika,
Yes.
when's the last time your father say I love you to you?
Okay, so we always say I love you whenever I call them. I say I love you to my parents now fairly frequently. Like whenever we video call and stuff like that. At the end of it, we're like, hey, I love you too, and things like that. And I recognize that it's not common now, like you say it and stuff like that. Even like when I was video calling them, and then a friend was with me, and then I was like, oh, okay, I love you, okay, bye, kind of thing. Like even my friend was a bit like, you say I love you to your dad? You say I love you to your mom? Just like that? I'm like, yeah, I do love them. And I think I've gotten to a point where I've realized the need to express it. I think maybe as a younger person, probably not as much. It wasn't as frequently said. But yeah, like I say, I think when he dropped us off, I did say I love you to him. Yeah.
How about your dad?
Oh, he will say it back.
He will say it back after you say it.
Oh yeah, or
Did he ever say it first?
Yeah, sometimes like at the end of the phone call, he'll be like, okay, I love you, bye. And then I'm like, oh, I love you too, okay, bye. So I think like he's fairly expressive that way. My parents. Even like with my two brothers, like I'll be like, oh, I love you. They
So
like,
probably it's from young that thing has been developed.
yeah.
Zuleika, yourself?
Um, it's different.
Is different.
It's
When the last time you can.
when was the last time? Actually, I can't recall.
Okay. How
Maybe
about
when I was
yourself?
younger.
How about yourself?
Oh, myself. Never.
Never.
Yeah. So yeah, I think like I mentioned earlier, like it was very hard for both my dad and myself to actually express ourselves openly, to say I love you. So for us, it's always through practical means, and because myself and my dad always our love language is different. We don't express. So to him is being I love you means like dah makan.
Oh, itu I love you lah.
Pukul berapa balik? It's more that's love. Yeah, that's concern. Yeah, so that is his little ways lah. I mean to date, I don't see him saying I love you too. I mean even when my brother flew to UK for 2 years, I don't hear him
But
saying
deep
that.
in your heart, do you wish your father to say
Yes,
it
of
once?
course. Of course, but I'm not too sure as well what is actually holding me back from saying it first to him. Yeah.
Aliana, do you think we need to affirm this I love you towards our father, towards our parents, or you want him to say it back to you? Do we need to affirm this?
As in to get my dad to say I love you.
Yeah.
I think yes, you're right. We don't say it as much to each other.
Okay.
But yes, it'd be nice to say it, to make it more of a norm. I think for my own daughter, I try and tell her that every night, because I know that at home that's not what we typically say. Like when I was growing up, I love you is not really a word that my family uses. Until much recently, when the younger kids are in, then the grandparents, they're like, oh, I love you.
Like happened to us.
To us, they're like, but yeah, so I guess that's one of the things that I'm learning, trying to do that.
One of the things that we taught in our fathering workshop is called appropriate touches. Okay, the reasons of these appropriate touches, because I think research says that one day we need 8 times of touches to keep our mental health healthy. So the question is, do you give? Do you receive the touches every day from the one that you love? Or do you give even the touches with the one that you love? That's a big the question that we have. Like I mentioned previously, that even your dad would want that affections from all their children, how small, how big they are, and they got it. Usually, it's just a something that they keep it to themselves. I mean, younger is fine. How about older?
Yeah, I mean, so whenever my dad sends me home,
Okay.
you know how sometimes we would just salam.
Salam, cium tangan dah.
Yeah, but like recently, not recently, maybe about a past year or so, I realized that I will feel very like something is missing if I don't like hug him and kiss on the cheek as well. Like even if I'm in a
what is missing actually?
no, so like I just want that, like
You want that?
yeah, I will just keep like, so like if I instead of just salam, I will like pull him, like I will go to him and I'll just kiss on both cheeks and give him a hug. And then if he's busy, I'm like, no, give me properly, kind of thing. And my mom also. And I think it's, yeah. And I think he appreciates that as well, like, because it's.
Of course, we say 8, but if you can do more, the better, right?
Yeah.
We have a friends who a hugger. It means every time we reach home, you hug the daughter. When the daughter is already, I think, 20 plus, when he goes out of her, he will hug. The reason that he gave us, I don't know, will that be my last hug? I don't know, will that be my last kiss? Right? To be honest, we are not professionals. I also face the same thing. But stop hugging, especially in our context. When my daughter goes into secondary school, the mother actually tell her, tell ayah, adik dah besar, dah tak boleh pegang, dah tak boleh ni. But then before that, I don't know about these appropriate touches. That appropriate touches we don't specify whether hug or a kisses or stroke of hair. It's not important because every family has that tendency. But what I'm stressing now to all families, especially fathers, mothers, do not stop that touch.
That's a good reminder.
Do not
You're gonna
stop.
hug your kid really long when you go home until
She already tells me, no, mommy, I don't want kisses. I don't want
That's not the challenge. But to hug your father.
yeah.
To hug your father. I mean, he may be Zulaikha, the first time he hugged me, he was stand still. I don't know. I don't know.
Awkward.
Because it's awkward.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same thing as my boy, 30 years old boy, right? Right. So I also encourage now, after learning this, to actually the salam, the solat, salam, okay, to kiss me.
Mm.
At 30 years old, the first reaction. But I say, go on, and now it's like a norm. Yes, no. Okay, I think we may come close to the end, but then before that, just share with me one moment you and your dad together that until today, when you were younger, until today you cannot forget. I hope it's not shocking. You want to go first? You want to go first? One moment you spend with your dad and you can remember until now.
Oh, wow. I did not expect this question.
Yeah, we share, right?
Okay.
Oh, okay. Oh, you have too many, is it?
Yeah, I have quite a few.
Who's ready? Zulaikha, you ready? One moment.
That I cannot forget.
Cannot forget.
I would think the one moment that I cannot forget till today would be when he actually ride along. I shared earlier about how he used to ride motorcycle and how he braved through the rain with me just to complete my N-level coursework. So part of the coursework required us to go around Singapore to actually take pictures of bus stops. So as ridiculous as it sounds, these are actually the silly things that my dad actually goes through with me. And I don't think, had he not gone through the extra mile to actually do all this with me, even though he doesn't understand a single thing about it, I wouldn't be able to be where I am, because the N-level coursework is something that all of us had to fulfill. And I think this is something that I'm very appreciative of till today lah. So even if I cannot say I love you, at the very least, he will still remember these days that we had. Yeah. Thank you. Your turn, go.
You want to pass the tissue, please? Okay, Atika, I'm waiting.
Wow. The first memory that came, and it's probably one of the strongest memory, but I also have like when you say young, I have a memory then was, I remember when my dad picked me up from school one day. I was in primary school. I might be in primary 1 or primary 2. And he'd come to school. He brought me to the general. So he came to the class. The teacher was like, and like I said, like my dad is like this charismatic character. I'm very sure some of my teachers probably had a crush on him. He was that kind of like father,
I hope your mother is not hearing. Yeah?
No, my mom knows she married a very good-looking, charismatic man, because my mom is also very beautiful. So I know this because once I was older and became a teacher myself, my teacher in primary school used to tell me, your dad used to be like the good-looking dad. I said, okay. So anyway.
What makes you remember?
So I remembered, so basically I remember this. And, as a kid, I was always like, my dad came to school to pick me up. It was actually for a very sad reason. But I remember, like, I was just so in awe that my dad was in school because, and eventually, it turned out that arwah grandfather was really ill and was going to pass away. But just seeing him with like my teachers and the general office staff, I say he's always like, somehow he's everybody's best friend.
Okay. He's always, picking you up from school?
Yes, as a kid. But like that was like, he actually came to class in the middle of the school day, right? So I think like that made me see him as this like hero. Because then after that, like, my friends was like, oh, your dad came and stuff like that. So that, I really remember that because even though it was for a sad reason, and I was quite, I would think that I'm quite close to, I really loved my arwah grandfather. But I remember that quite clearly because the way he interacted with the teachers and how everybody was like, oh, Atika's father is here, blah, blah, blah.
I love the word clearly. So can you remember the shirt that he wear, the color?
Or maybe not lah, because my dad is like a big personality, you see. And he always had this like swept back hair. He's very like
back comb.
Yeah, very like Jamal Abdillah when was very young. Or Jamal Abdillah I was younger. But I think like as I grew older, one of my most like I guess tender memories is every time at the airport, whenever I'm flying away, right? And my parents always send me to the airport, no matter what time it is. Either if I'm, at the point in time I was either studying or like going for my solo travels, or like now when I used to do work travel, they would always send me. And my dad, when I went with my mom, like, cry, like, like emotional. But like, I think that's when my dad is most kind of like emotional with me. Like he'll really give me a hug, and then he's like, okay, Allah jaga, like I really let you go. That Allah will take care of you, but you're still my girl. And I think in those moments I recognize that it's hard for him, but he's still doing it, So which is why I say like he really trusts me enough to let me go, but he also trusts himself enough to let me go, and he trusts God, to do that. And I think those moments are very tender for me because I know I'm not the easiest daughter in a sense, It's not the easiest thing to let your daughter kind of go and travel and do her thing. But I guess that the fact that he still lets me do it, it's always,
although he's worried, he was
I think he's like, I know that you want to go do this is your life, you're gonna grow. I think for him, I recognize and acknowledge and respect the fact that he doesn't want to be a barrier in my life. Like he's always an enabler, and like he was always like the wind under my wings. Like he doesn't want to be the one who says no. The only time he actually said no was when I wanted to marry someone who was very unsuitable for me.
But you did not push hard on that.
No, that was, I was angry. I was young and angry, but he was really like, no, this guy is not good for you, blah, blah, blah. So because he doesn't say no enough, even though I was angry, like I trust that he will say no if it's really, really bad for me.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Eliana, how about you? One moment that you can remember until now.
Yes. Okay. So I was in school, primary 5. And my dad picks me up like he always does normally. But I saw that this time he was, I guess more, I don't know, his demeanor was more caring, more calm. And then he got me into the car, and then he said, I have to tell you something. And he said, we don't have a house. I said, what? And he said, our house burned down. And I was like, what do you mean? I don't understand. Like, why? Then he says, okay, we are going home. You're going to see what it looks like. But I don't know if we have much things left. And then he says that one of the levels is completely gone. And it was an attic and 2 stories. The attic is gone completely. The rest of the house is wet. It's very wet. I don't know whether we have anything left. Throughout all of this and the drive home, I didn't understand. Like, as in like I understood the words, but I can't comprehend what was really happening. I got there, and actually for that, and I think 1 month, 2 weeks after that, I think I could really recall that I never saw, and this is when I say my dad is very dependable. I never saw him falter. He knew what had to be done. Of course, he had the support from my greater relatives who came and helped to pack as much as we could pack out to go to a rental house. But it was always, okay, do you have all of your things? okay, you're safe. Okay, can you live with your aunt for a while? And then I could see him set up the new house to make sure that we are okay. And then he picked me up and he said, okay, this is where you're going to stay for now.
Never once the sorrow, the worry.
No sadness. No, I didn't see anything. I saw him as the hero. He came in, he said, okay, this is what we need to do, very calmly. And he said, find as much things as you can. You know, we're going to pack up. You're going to stay with your aunts tonight. I don't know how long for, you know, and but we will find a place. We will be together again. And that was, I think, that's the dependent that I always knew.
Okay, to sum it up, now is the platform. I wish everybody, every one of you, to say something to your father, something that you have been keeping in your heart, something that you have never thought you want to say it, but you want to say it now. To thank to your father, to anything that you want to talk to your father, to say, Father, over there, through the camera.
Okay, I think I'll start. Okay, Papa, I love you. We don't say this often, and I know we don't talk. I guess we're not as emotional when we talk as we could be, I think. But I want you to know that I see everything that you do for me, for all of us. I see all the efforts and all the sacrifice that you made, even up to now, to make sure that we're safe, that we are well provided for. I've never seen you falter. I think we as a family have gone through a lot of difficulties together, and you know, I've always seen him trying to rise up from everything, and I see it. I just want you to know that I see it, and I love you for it.
Thank you. Atika?
You made me very emotional. Thank you, Baba, for everything that you've given me and the family. And thank you for trusting me to live my life on my own terms. And thank you for giving me both the roots and the wings and the faith and bravery to go out and just do the best that I can and be a good servant in this world. So thank you so much. Because you are who you are, all of us get to be who we are. So terima kasih.
Zulaika?
Alright. Papa, terima kasih kerana segala pengorbanan Papa dah beri pada Ika dan adik-beradik. Terima kasih sebab tak tinggalkan kita dan putus asa walaupun walaupun banyak kenangan yang pahit dan juga pengalaman yang agak susah untuk kami sekeluarga. Terima kasih kerana telah mendidik kami untuk menjadi orang I don't know. Dan I'm sorry kalau Ika tak keep up lah dengan, mungkin tak boleh menjadi anak perempuan yang sempurna, tapi Ika yakin mungkin pada hari yang akan datang Ika akan cuba untuk menjadi anak perempuan yang lebih sempurna.
Alright. Thank you, ladies. Okay, we have come to the end of our session today. We at Berapa Sepanjang Hayat and CFF would like to thank all of you for staying with us. We at the CFF, we organize a lot of parenting workshops, fathering workshops that enable father to be more involved and to be more closer to their children in the effort of building up a great family. And I would like to also to thank ladies from YWILD for sharing this wonderful session with me. So thank you so much. So for more information about our activities, before I goes to the website, I would like to say please support YWILD. And for those young women who would like to explore or to see the platform that has been provided by these wonderful ladies, do visit their website. You have a website, and maybe those who want to know about their these wonderful ladies who had penned down their journey, you
can find us on YWILD Inc. on Instagram.
Sure. Oh, they have Instagram. I see. Great. That's great. All right. The Instagram name? YWILD.
At YWILD Inc. YWILDINC.
All right. This for YWILD. But for CFF, for Bapa Sepanjang Hayat, do explore us. Do check it out us on our website, www.fathers.sg. Thank you so much. Good night.